Hi children. So today after a long time I'm making this video because I had been busy with the counseling of the students under defense category. Now the counseling is almost over and it is very important for me to discuss with you the experiences of last year and what were some of the shortcomings or difficulties which the students under defense category faced. And my aim is because I'm sharing these shortcomings so that you can overcome this and you do not face such circumstances or such situations or such challenges. So, number one thing you have to remember is that you need to know your priority very, very clearly. That's important. Now, if you look at the statistics of the number of students who were called under various priorities in by Kendriya Sainik Board. So there were around 23 students who were called in priority 1 and 12 seats were allotted. Then there were around 16 students who were called in priority 2 and only one seat was allotted. And 23 students were called in priority 3 and 9 seats were allotted. And rest 60 students were called under priority 4 and balance 19 seats were allotted to them. Now, what you have to now, all these statistics do not show that there was a problem with the documents of all the students who were not given the seat. There were few students who got seat in the state merit list, so they went there. However, it is also important to note that many students had issues with their papers. Either their documents were incomplete or their documents were inaccurate. So, this is a time when you have a full year ahead of you that you start looking into your documents, you start researching your priority. You should clearly know whether you are in priority 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. Priority 1, of course, there should not be any doubt that is in case the life has been lost. That is a priority 1 in action. And priority 2 is when now priority 2 and priority 4 generally becomes a confusing priority because students don't come to know which priority they fall in. So please remember, if your father has sustained disability while serving in the field area and he or she is boarded out of service, then only you come under priority 2. Similarly, in priority 4, if your father has sustained disability in the peace area and at the same time he or she is, if your father or mother, he or she is boarded out of service. Now this term boarded out is very, very important. Please remember, if your father has left the service on his own accord, either because he did not want to serve further or because he completed his tenure, even if you get disability pension, still you will not fall under priority 2 or priority 4. So remember this. Now, what is happening when now you are almost 17, 18 years old, and if your father, say, was boarded out of service 10 years ago, or 12 years ago, or 17, 18 years ago, then those days, unfortunately, people were not very conscious about their documents. And instead of invalidment medical board, it's a release medical board. Instead of boarding out, the father has been released. So you have to now, at least those of you who are falling under this sort of stage, who are getting boarded out, please make sure that the last medical board which happens if you are in the process of being boarded out, make sure that it is not a release medical board. It is a, on top of the medical board it's written invalidment medical board or the release medical board. So you make sure it is ticked correctly that it is an invalidment medical board. If you are being invalidated out, it should not be release medical board. So take care of all these things. But however, for those people who have already been invalidated out or boarded out and their medical documents are not with them, you can reach out to the correct, concerned record offices or medical directorates and have your documents in place, and please go through, understand those army rules under which you've been discharged, so that you are totally equipped with knowledge. Now, this was one problem where students went to the scenic boards, and scenic board gave them the certificate that they were no more in priority 2 or priority 4, rather they were in priority 6. So this was one issue which they faced, because throughout their life they were pinning their hope on something that they would fall in priority 2 or in priority 4. I saw many students who came to me and who said, ma'am, we are in priority 2, we are sure to get a seat, we are in priority 4. But it was very shocking when they went to the concerned authorities to get their certificates. They were given priority 6 certificates. So please be very, very clear about it. I don't want you to feel disappointed and sort of disillusioned at the end, that you always thought that you were in priority 2 or priority 4, but then you turned out to be in priority 6. So that's very shocking and disappointing at the last moment. So this was one mistake or one problem which many students faced, and that is why I'm bringing it up here, so that you are prepared for that sort of situation, rather that situation should not come. The second issue was that the other way round also it happened. Why I am telling you to be very clear about the army rules? Because there were few students who reached the Zilla Sainik board, and the Zilla Sainik board officer gave wrong certificate. The child she was in priority 4. I kept telling her she was in priority 4, but her Zilla Sainik board did not agree, and he gave her priority 6 certificate, which is again equally disappointing. And then we really had to put up a strong front, and we had to explain things, and we had to speak to them over call. And finally, this girl got a government medical college. But then your knowledge is something which is going to help you in this situation also. The previous situation was children kept thinking they were in priority 2 or 4, but they were actually in 6. And this situation, the second case I'm talking about, it's a case of Rajasthan. This girl was very much in priority 4, but her Zilla Sainik board gave her wrong certificate. And just because I was guiding her, she could get finally what she deserved, and she got a government seat. So equip yourself is what I am trying to say. Another thing is in the state defense seats, there are a lot of court cases which go on every year, and so please understand that the one of the students from Orissa who I was counseling, if your father has taken a re-employment in DSC, then even if he was in priority 2 or priority 4 when he was released, and if he's taken a re-employment in DSC, then there's a high court ruling, especially in the state of Orissa. I don't know if it is applicable in other states also or not, which I think should be. Then the father would be considered, the student would be considered in priority 6, not in priority 2 or 4. So this was one. Then it is important again for you. I have seen so many students, they were only dependent on my information. So my request to you is that you have to form your own support groups. How do you form support groups? You speak to other students, you speak to other defense category students, you reach out to your seniors maybe who are in medical colleges, and please be updated, because the rules are changing so fast. Please find your support groups. Please ask 10 people, find authentic information, check the authentic websites from time to time, and remain updated, because that's going to be very, very helpful during the time of counseling. Fourth mistake which students did, that initially they did not do their homework, they did not work on their documents, and then there was a last minute panic when they were not getting seats, or when they did not know how to go ahead with the counseling. Then they were like, ma'am, please take my counselor, I'm ready to pay anything. See, it doesn't work like that. Please prepare your papers, please prepare your procedures, Please prepare even your list of colleges as soon as your NEET result would be out. Looking at the NEET score, you should be ready with the list of colleges that you would be willing to take admission in based on the last year's few years cutoff. So all that homework has to be done before really the counseling starts. So these are some of the important points. And yes, another important thing that I want to tell you, I was very sad. There were one or two cases who were just on the borderline in the central pool seat allotment, and the seats got finished because ultimately there are just 45 seats, not too many. This year there were 45 seats. So try to be as high on the merit. Now, a lot of students who are preparing for 2023 NEET, they've been asking me, ma'am, what was the last cutoff? That should not be your area of interest as of now. Your area of interest as of now should be to try and get maximum marks, because if you are highest on the merit list within your priority, then you have a chance of getting better college. You know, it's very miserable to not get a college because you were short of 1 mark. So I don't want you to land in such a situation. So consistency in your studies at the moment, and for your parents, knowing the army rules, knowing their discharge conditions, knowing their priority is important. So stay tuned. All the best. I'm going to bring out few more videos which are going to give you further insights to help you prepare for your counseling for the defense seats next year. And keep sharing and liking the video so that other students also get the benefit of it. All the best.